How's it going, everyone? It is Only here. Welcome back to another video as always. So obviously, as you guys can probably already tell by listening to this video, my microphone sounds a lot different, and that's because I got a new microphone for the time being, a temporary microphone, obviously, because my microphone pretty much died the day before E3 started, which is a very, unfortunate timing, and just obviously it's unfortunate in general that happened, but just definitely the timing of that was also very unfortunate. But of course, that's not going to stop this train. We still got to get through all this coverage of E3, and today is our EA Plays 2018 conference review. Now this one I honestly didn't really even want to make because I feel like I kind of want to forget it in a way. In a way, I did not like this conference at all because in general it was structured very poorly, I feel, and they could have done a lot of better things to get the information across. And also in general, of course, the catalog of EA games consists of a lot of sports and Star Wars and stuff, so they don't always have like the most interesting stuff to show. So yeah, I guess with that being said, let's just go over what they announced. So they pretty much always start with like a sports montage, but pretty much what they did this year is they kind of, without starting into like some of the big ones like Anthem or even some of the smaller ones like, their sports titles, they actually started with Battlefield 5. They went over some details, showed some trailers off for that game. Some very vague stuff. We didn't really get too much footage of that, but it did announce that it's going to get a Battle Royale mode. So, BR coming to Battlefield 5 was not a surprising thing. They did say we're going to get details later on. I'm not sure if this is going to be like an update post-launch or if it's going to be at launch. To be honest, I don't really even care about that. But, that's the thing. Probably the most exciting announcement for me was definitely when they had the Respawn dev in the crowd talking about their game. It's a very low-key, very vague, tease of what their project is going to be. But they pretty much said that they're working on a Star Wars project among other projects, and that this one in particular is going to come out in holiday 2019. It's going to take place between Episode 3 and Episode 4 of the Star Wars trilogies. And they said that it's pretty much going to be, you're going to be a Jedi, obviously, as the name suggests. The game's called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. To me, this was very exciting because I love Respawn's, work. Call of Duty 4, Titanfall 2, some of the best games in terms of the first-person shooter genre, at least for me, and their campaigns are generally really good. So them taking on the Star Wars IP, I feel, can really be like a fresh of breath air in terms of that series and just in general of EA's catalog of titles. I definitely think that's like a standout for me. So, of course, we're probably going to get more information as, like, next year comes closer, but a vague teaser nonetheless was pretty exciting. They didn't even show off a logo, which I thought was kind of disappointing. They literally just had that guy talk about it, and literally that's how we got our details. Unravel 2 was announced the morning before. Literally this morning we heard about it. Yeah, that's pretty much already out. They announced that Unravel has pretty much, Yarny has like a friend this time around. It's going to be a lot more co-op, influence, and it's going to be either playable, solo or with a friend. I played Unravel 1. I liked it a lot, and I think co-op definitely is like a welcome introduction to that game, and I think that it kind of felt like it wanted co-op even in the first game, and it felt like it was kind of meant for it. So having co-op now is pretty cool, and just a shadow drop announcement like that was also pretty cool because you don't really see that for big games. Maybe you get betas the same day, but you don't usually get like a full release of a game. So that was definitely also a pretty cool thing. If there's one thing that was pretty cool is EA dropped a lot of stuff at the same time as today, but really the only thing that they dropped today that was pretty cool is Unravel 2. They dropped their Origin Access kind of bull crap that I don't really care for, but Unravel 2 is definitely a cool one. Of course, you had your really cringy moments like FIFA and that one mobile game that somehow someone somewhere thought it was a good idea to give 10 minutes of the conference to solely a mobile game, which is just beyond me. We saw Sea of Solitude, which is a tease of their next EA Originals title, and that's coming from another dev that they hooked up with, and kind of like in the similar vein of A Way Out. This one, in general, looks a lot like Rime. I think I was talking about that with Blue in the conference. Looks pretty cool. We didn't really see much footage of it, but I definitely think it's going to be one of the more interesting games coming from EA because, obviously indie devs seem to be making better games than EA can right now. Yeah, that's just a fact of what we've seen lately. And honestly, SOS, as they're putting it, looks pretty interesting. I'm definitely down for that. Early 2019 looks pretty cool. Overall, before I get into like some of Anthem and other stuff, EA really heavily focused on kind of giving, players a reason to kind of trust them more in this press conference, or at least, trying to pull the corporate move and making them seem like the good guy. It's obviously a smart move because, loot boxes and controversy of last year was really high with Battlefront 2, and just in general, EA, everybody thinks of greed and money, obviously, when it comes to that company. So really this year when that guy came out from Battlefront 2 talking about like the DLC expectations that are coming out later this year, it really seemed catered to the fans, which is good on them. And even Battlefield 5 won't have any sort of premium content, which is something we already knew about, but they also confirmed no loot boxes. So literally everything you get in Battlefield 5 you'll get from the game, which is obviously a good thing. Anthem, on the other hand, it is getting some, microtransactions, but it's kind of be in a way that kind of like Fortnite does it, where you buy what you want. So there's no more loot boxes, which on a hand, it's one that's like a good strategy, but on the other hand, you're still paying for something to make your character look cool, and that's still part of like a loot-based game when you're trying to get better, loot to make yourself look cool. It's part of the experience there. So I still think it's BS how Anthem in general has microtransactions at all. So that was very disappointing, honestly. Speaking of Anthem, we got some footage of it. The main thing that I walked away was it's launching the same day as Days Gone. That's coming February 22nd, 2019. The way they presented information was kind of off. They kind of had like a panel, which is kind of weird. I feel like you should do that after the press conference, but they made us sit through like parts of the panel before we actually got footage of the game, which is kind of annoying. And they kind of did the same thing that they did last year, where they didn't really announce that they're, ending the press conference. They just kind of moved it into like the later part of their program where they're talking about, just Anthem in general, and it felt like a panel, which was kind of weird. Overall, a lot of those parts of the conference kind of just dragged in weird places where I feel like they could have done it better. I mean, I always feel like with a lot of these conferences, they try to justify why they're doing a press conference by making it a little bit longer, but you seriously don't need 10 minutes of a mobile game, and you seriously can't rely on 2 of their EA original titles to carry them, and that's kind of what it felt like with this. You got like maybe 2 indie games here, Unravel 2 and Sea of Solitude, which both look cool. Unravel 2 is available now. You got the tease of Respawn's game, but that was literally just a verbal tease of the guy talking about it. But other than that, you didn't really get anything else, and you got maybe an in-depth look at Anthem, which is something that I've already knew I'm going to buy because it's one of those games that just interests me personally. I like those games, and it just shows kind of a bit of promise, and it looks fun. But there are some things that still worry me about Anthem. I'll probably talk about that at a later date in another video, especially since Game Informer just announced that they're going to be covering Anthem. There's been a lot of new details that I'm probably going to go over in a separate kind of video, or just include it in a future video. But there's some things that worry me about that title in general, and yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling really mixed about EA. I want to say mixed, but overall it's kind of negative. The conference was probably, I want to say, slightly better than last year's because it ended on Anthem, not Battlefront 2. But other than that, it's hard to justify why this was better than last year, so it's kind of on the same ballpark. I expected this going in, but it is what it is, and that's kind of what I expected. So yeah, obviously E3 just started, EA Play. I'd probably, if I had to give it a ranking out of 10, because everybody kind of wants that nowadays, which I don't really agree with, but I'll just, for hype reasons, I'll give it like maybe a 3, a 4. I don't know. I feel like 4 would be generous given, what we saw. But I think a 3 or 4 should be where this conference is. So yeah, I guess with that being said, I know you all watched it as well. So make sure to leave it in the comments down below what you thought about it. And yeah, that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow with Microsoft's conference. And of course, as I did today, I'll be live streaming, of course, as always. So yeah, that being said, I've been online. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and hopefully it will be a cool day filled with Microsoft and Bethesda goodness. So I'll see you guys then. Peace out.